Hey guys, DGG here. Now a lot of people out there are enamored by the idea of doing Let's Plays and becoming super de-duper ultra famous and having the nerd masses adore you. The only problem is that there isn't really a defined way to get started if you want to do a gaming channel, and for many channels they end up fumbling around until they quit or end up with an audience far smaller than they expected. This is why I'm here to share not only my extreme boundless wisdom and charming humbleness, but also my experiences as not only a Let's Player, but as a YouTuber in general. This guide will contain 4 parts for the whole kerfuffle of Let's Playing: getting started, doing the Let's Play, producing the Let's Play, and eventually everything that comes afterwards. For now, let's start with arguably the most important step, getting started. There's one thing I'll have to point out before doing this series: most of the technicals will apply to console gaming since that's primarily where my interests lie. So with that said, let's get started. The first thing you'll need to do before even getting off your feet and buying the most expensive stuff is a healthy self-evaluation. Many people don't realize this, but a Let's Play from the perspective of a viewer and the perspective of a creator are very different. Thousands of people watch videos like this and assume themselves as an audience as one in the theater. However, for the creator, the videos are almost always produced by just him, the game, and no one else. The first thing to realize is if you are able to carry on a conversation with a currently non-existent audience, and if you're able to keep focus on a particular commentary that you're giving. The ability to carry on a normal, hilarious conversation with an invisible audience is tantamount to producing a good Let's Playing content. My own personal practice for commentary is quite simple, but a little difficult. Take about a 15-minute video of random gameplay and practice speaking over it. If more than 3 consecutive seconds of silence pass, restart the video and go again. Once you're able to do it once, redo the sequence but without using any of the commentary from the first clean run. After that, learning the thinking process behind thinking quick and funny should come more naturally. The second thing to remember is the balance between commentary and gameplay. You could be the funniest person on this side of the planet, but if your gameplay involves doing the same thing over and over again every 3 minutes, people will become irritated and lose interest. While commentary is good, you have to remember that it's still a Let's Play, and if you can't manage both, you might as well stick to things like podcasting. It sounds a little complex, but it is critical to have both these qualities if you want to produce good content and grow your channel. The second thing you'll need, and this is the fun part, is the equipment. First things first, a lot of gaming content is not produced cheap, and the tech used for producing can cost a lot, so if you aren't willing to put out some cash, then unfortunately you won't make it far. While it's certainly important to pay attention to quality, going for the best of will only produce problems if you do it without thinking. What works isn't necessarily quality, but the versatility of the product. Let's start with game capture devices. These little boxes are what the signal goes into and gets recorded for your video. They come in many shapes, sizes, and types, and this is where things get a little specific. To get the best bang for your buck, you don't want to go with something that is compatible with only one type of input. What I've learned from this channel is that the best device is the one that can work under the best situations. My choice of recording is the AverMedia Game Capture 2 HD, not only because it has great quality, but because it supports more than one input. If you grab something that just has the best quality, you may end up with some pretty footage, but be limited when it comes to other consoles. Now you're about $200 down and the thing you bought can only record consoles with HDMI outputs. Not to mention the PS3's HDCP for HDMI, rendering an HDMI only capture device useless for PS3, unless you have a converter, which is another wad of cash down the drain. The second thing is the video editor itself. Just recording the video and commentary isn't enough. You have to export the files into a good video editor. You certainly want an editor that does a lot, is powerful, and can export a number of different types of videos. But one thing people forget to mention, and which can screw you later down the road, is the support for the editor. Let me give an example. Everyone knows the file types WMV, AVI, MP4, so on and so forth, but every once in a while a capture device will only record in the rare and bizarre file type TS. Even worse is the fact that many video editors don't support this type of file. So if you aren't careful, you'll get a device that records great, but the file type becomes incompatible. There is always converting, but if you recorded a long enough video, the process could take a very long time, and any other method could damage the quality of the video. The third is the microphone. This is pretty much a very wide thing, and my expertise in the subject is pretty novice. The headset I use is the Turtle Beach PX21, and it's some pretty damn good quality, but more issues for you to find out is actually your surroundings.
No one wants to listen to a Let's Play like this, no matter how good the video is.
You want to keep the microphone at a decent distance, make sure your breath isn't blowing against the mic, and always run checks on the devices you're using before you get into the actual thing. I can't tell you how many videos wouldn't have come to be if I didn't double check. Another thing is something that is a little harder to rectify, which is the terrible forces of static and echo. Static varies on too many things to count, and echo can be fixed, but some methods don't run cheap. But both of these things can kill a good video. So fix these problems as best you can so it isn't too glaring. But outside of that, that's it for the technical parts. Now that that's done, let's move on to the fun and tense part, doing the Let's Play. Since commentary is a whole half of the charm of a Let's Play, it's important to be really good at it. As said before, most of the issues lie in keeping up a conversation with an invisible audience, and so long as you master that, you can at least produce enough commentary to qualify it as a Let's Play. But one will realize soon that talking for a good hour constantly is really hard, especially when you have to make it hilarious. As for giving you tips on humor, well, I don't think you want to learn too much from me since I deal about 60% with the magnificent art of puns. But something I've learned from all these years is that it's not that you can't speak, it's that you can't find the right thing to talk about. Once you do that, just keep the mouth flying, making jokes or otherwise, and you'll be able to fill up the time slot. So all you really have to do is trick your brain into triggering a series of things you can talk about. This part of Let's Playing is one of the more intellectually driven parts, as this technique revolves around the idea of extreme analysis. What can you look at while playing, or even what you were previously talking about, that could keep the commentary going? If the game is a historical one, talk about some background history. If the game pisses you off or makes you happy in a particular way after a significant event, elaborate further and string together some well-worded experiences or critiques. Even imagining the characters in parodied situations similar to their own can really trigger some great comedy. Hell, that was the line of thought for the great film parodies like Airplane and Naked Gun. It works along the same line. Point out strange points of the game, and even from there, you have two options. Take it in a serious direction and use the time to criticize the game, or you can set up the scene complete with some silly voices or maybe even do some dark humor if it's a kid's game for the contrasting humor factor. Either route you take will take time, and that's more time you don't have to worry about filling up. One thing you don't want to do at all is something I like to call nothing talk. This kind of centers around things that you say but don't mean to. Not in the sense of something offensive, but in the sense of a half-completed thought. Stuff like random exclamations, swearing out of the clear blue, talking as if the words are just falling out of your mouth, or God forbid you sigh without comedic effect. Chances are, if you're sighing in your own Let's Play while making it, then the audience won't find it particularly interesting either. So there are a few different ways that you can make your Let's Play work, but there are also many ways to detriment your work entirely. Another one that is important to remember but much harder to fix is your actual voice. It'll be hard to admit, but some people don't exactly have the voice of an angel. However, I did get a good voice, and I guarantee it wasn't genetics, so I have to think that it was speaking practice. I had many years of parodies, reviews, rants, and commentaries before I started this channel, so it kind of helped my voice develop in a special way. The best I can advise someone is to do a lot of speaking practice as if you're on the radio, and to do it every day to help your voice develop in a good way. Another way to make your voice more malleable is to do many varying silly voices as possible. It'll sound stupid in the beginning, but eventually you'll start to catch on to how you throw your voice and transform it in the way that other people do. So that's half of the Let's Playing action completed. Now for the other half of actually playing the game, simply because this is actually a two-part problem. First is your gaming skill. As much as you want to make stupid jokes and get people to laugh, the important part is to keep a steady flow of progress when it comes to the game you're actually playing. Certainly, you can ask for a bit of leeway if you fall behind a bit more than expected. However, staying on the same stage of Mario talking about dicks for the 40th time will cause people to ditch your channel and go watch something with more progress. So as said before, it's good to be funny, but a Let's Play is meant to be what the name implies, playing the game. The second part is actually something that not a lot of people take into consideration before it's too late, and that's game selection. Now, it's undoubtedly a fact that if you're able to get a video on a new game that came out that day up, it'll boost your view count considerably, and subsequently playing games that are popular at the time. But one has to be careful when it comes to game selection. For one, games nowadays are getting longer and longer, especially when it comes to RPG types of games. The first part of every Let's Play you create will always get the most views out of the series. This is why it's important to keep a Let's Play series on a game short and sweet. Otherwise, as it goes on, more and more people will drop off simply due to game fatigue and will want something different. This is the same reason that videos on games like Minecraft, GTA 5, or the Token Horror Game of the Month are sometimes ill-advised, as YouTube's already overflowing with those types of videos, and if you want to do a video on a game like that, it's best for a one-off or video count that should never stem past the double-digit mark. It's important to analyze what games will get a hit, but going for the obvious popular ones make you just another video in the sea. Another game type you want to stay away from is games that are heavily focused on story, for two reasons. One, these games tend to be longer and almost every second of time is important to the plot, leaving almost no room to actually commentate. And two, you'll be fatigued fairly quickly if you haven't actually played the game in a while, which will cause your commentary to deteriorate if you aren't used to it yet. This is why games like Metal Gear Solid are not suggested to people who aren't good enough yet to handle a game with that much story. I could go more into the different dynamics of game selection and commentary, but since this is a beginner's guide, I think it's best to keep it simple for now. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Now I'm pretty sure no one wants to listen to me for 20 straight minutes, so this special video has been split up into 2 parts. Click here to watch the next part, or click here to see other videos.